it's wild to me that she can sit there and say that this is the most egregious event of sexual misconduct and misconduct in the NFL that we have seen for many of these players. And she's willing to give the 6-game suspension, but she's not willing to do more than 6 games.
Why don't you go first then, since you haven't been live on air yet today? Kyle had a show earlier. Great job, by the way. Give your thoughts here for a minute, man. What's going through your mind on this?
Well, there's so many things, especially since now reading the response from Susan B. Anthony. I'm just kidding, Sue L. Robinson. From reading the response from Sue L. Robinson about that she said that these are the most heinous non-violent sexual crimes that an NFL player has committed, and they're the most egregious that she has seen. Yet he still gets the exact same suspension that Ezekiel Elliott did, and that Ben Roethlisberger did. Ben Roethlisberger with 2 sexual assault allegations, Deshaun Watson with 24, almost 26 sexual misconduct allegations, and he only gets the 6 games. Now, a lot of this is like the NFL can appeal, the NFLPA can appeal. There's a lot of shit. This isn't done. There's a lot of shit going on with this. But I'm really, really frustrated because if this is what it is, and if it's the 6 games, and if Sue L. Robinson really just wants to throw it in the NFL's face and say, hey, you guys messed up by not explicitly stating what would happen in an event like this, I'm sorry that they didn't plan on a guy having 66 fucking masseuses, that he was going to try to like have them grab their hand and rub his beehole with them. Like, I'm sorry that the NFL didn't account for 26 different or 24 different allegations from women about sexual misconduct, or honestly, in my opinion, sexual assault, whether it was nonviolent or not. I'm sorry the NFL couldn't account for that. Like, you can't look at the context of the situation and just feel that it's different and see that it's different. That's what's really bothering me the most, because what's happening right now is like we brought up, like it's a quarter for every woman that had an allegation, which is just absolutely ridiculous. But here's the press. This my reasoning all along. Deshaun Watson's a piece of shit, deserves to be suspended. But my reasoning all along for Deshaun Watson getting a year was about setting precedent for an unprecedented event, for an unprecedented thing. Like, this is 24 women, probably more, that didn't even come forward because they were too afraid and they didn't want to deal with it and they just wanted to move past the trauma. This is 24 women's lives who were affected and changed and fucked up because of Deshaun Watson and the stuff that he did to them. And we're just going to sweep it under the rug because maybe he settled in court. I think like basing it off of like the how many allegations were left after the settlements is bullshit, by the way. Yep. It still happened. Like, this doesn't make it disappear, right? Like, if I put on a blanket, you can't see me anymore. Like, you and Kyle aren't going to be like, oh shit, where'd Josh go? There's a blanket there now.
Hold on. Factually inaccurate. My daughter, I do that shit to her all the time. 3-year-old just doesn't know
that you're not 3. Like, maybe Sue L. Robinson has the mind of a 3-year-old.
Maybe she thinks like the NFL's demographic is 3-year-olds, you know?
But here's where I have the biggest issue. They failed to set the correct precedent in an unprecedented event. So now what they've done with Ezekiel Elliott and with Ben Roethlisberger and now Deshaun Watson is they said context doesn't matter. Severity doesn't matter. It could be 524 women. It could be 1,000 women because the misconduct policy was written the way it was, and you set a precedent. Well, it has to be 6 games. Bullshit. What they did is they set a precedent to say it doesn't matter how bad it is. It doesn't matter how far they've gone. As long as there has been misconduct, it will be 6 games. And Sue L. Robinson had a chance to change that. She had a chance to effectively, because this is a brand new process the NFL has never done before. She had the chance to be a part of a brand new process, a brand new precedent, and really kind of make Deshaun Watson the example he deserves to be made and give it at least 10 games. That's at
what
least
I said.
half
10
a
games.
season.
It had to
like,
be 10
what
games.
the fuck?
And by the way, Kyle, jump in whenever. We're not gonna, this is a round table.
I'll sit on my
I
soapbox
just
all
don't
day,
want Kyle to feel like we're going one by one. This is just, let's just have a conversation like we're just hanging out. Because, I mean, to me, Josh, you make a great point, and it was like, I think, do you think that them sending out that, or the sources leaking on July 18 that, hey, if we don't get our way, we're going to sue. If the NFL steps in and tries to do more, we will sue the NFL. Do you think that that had something to do with it? Because they changed their tune with that new press release, which was so fucking obvious that they knew what was coming. Do you guys think that they kind of changed mid-course, or she did?
No,
I think this was always going to happen.
Yeah.
I think it was always going to happen. I mean, we've seen this in the past. The NFL doesn't really, truly give a shit about women. They really don't. Look at the cheerleader scandals that we have had. They don't pay them for shit. They treat them like objects. Then you have guys like Ray Rice, who was able to knock out his girlfriend and only get 2 freaking games. Then you have, again, Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know what happened there, but he got 6 games. There was no evidence or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL is going to put on a show in October, though, when breast cancer awareness month comes in, and Deshaun Watson's going to step out looking like the fucking Pink Ranger. That's because he's in damage control. But you know who I'm actually a little bit more upset about? Because I think we do a good job of, we're all upset about what Deshaun Watson did. We're all upset about how the NFL is handling this. You know who else bears some responsibility that no one is talking about? Us. The fans. You're responsible, and you're responsible, and everybody else watching, and myself included, because guess what? On week 1, I'm going to be sitting my fat ass on the couch watching Scott Hansen say 7 hours of commercial-free football. They know we're not going anywhere. They don't give a shit if it's 6 games, whether it's 2 games, whether it's 19 years. They don't care. They have no fire under themselves to change any of this shit because none of us are going anywhere. Hell, I'm going to be watching the Hall of Fame game this Saturday, and pads just went on these motherfuckers,
Do you? But Kyle, what do we do then? What do we do? What, as fans? I mean, sure, it
don't watch, but we're not going to do that.
So how do you correct this, right? Like, what do you do? Because you're right, fans are not going to not watch football, right? And is that just the case of, oh well, sorry, every woman in this country, but we love our football. We still support you, but that's kind of the message, right?
Runs anyway,
yeah. I just that's sad that's the message that we send. It really is, and I feel like, to me, this didn't feel. So Josh, you mentioned that she had the evidence and she called it egregious and she called it bad. And that's the thing. And then you guys are both saying something that I kind of pointed out the opposite of. Don't blame the NFL yet. This isn't really their ruling.
Yeah, this isn't done.
This is her ruling. Now, they agreed with the NFL Players Association to put her in place and let her make these decisions, and how she could look at that and say those things. And I didn't see that report, but I'm going off what you said, Josh. And if that's the case, if she said those things and ended up at 6 games, what the fuck? How does that happen? I don't get. But don't blame the NFL yet.
Right. This is where I will blame the NFL. Okay. This is where I will blame the NFL. I haven't finished the entire 16-page decision yet, but from what it seems, she puts a lot of the onus on the NFL's job interviewing a lot of these women and investigating it. It's like they didn't do enough investigation. They could have gone and talked to a lot more women. They could have gone and talked to a lot more of the massage therapists who didn't have allegations. They could have talked to the doorman from the Houstonian. There's multiple different sources that they could have investigated, that they could have gone to, and the NFL just didn't do that. So the amount of evidence that she was given from the NFL, from other people for this, led her to say, okay, well, this is just another sexual misconduct allegation. We're going to handle it the way all of the other ones have been. And that's where I'll at least blame the NFL for now. But I totally agree that it's not over. It's just, it's wild to me that, just real fast, it's wild to me that she can sit there and say that this is the most egregious event of sexual misconduct and misconduct in the NFL that we have seen from many of these players. and she's willing to give the 6-game suspension, but she's not willing to do more than 6 games. Like what this is what I don't get. It's not like she's using the precedent of 2 other events, right? 2 other events based off of how many allegations they had against them, what the situation was, what the context was. Now she's not looking at the context of this situation. It's not like the NFL's conduct policy says if there is an allegation, no matter how many, it is 6 games first offense. It doesn't say that. It just says that a player will be suspended for misconduct after pending an investigation and after the full context is reviewed by the league. And now she's a part of this new situation, this new process. She can't look at the context herself. And really, what it feels like, if you read she said, I am bound by the standards of fairness and consistency of treatment among players similarly situated. Like she says, the way she talks about the NFL is it's almost like she's trying to shove one to the NFL itself and say well, you guys created this monster. Maybe if you were better, maybe if you had done a better investigation, maybe if you had a better conduct policy, maybe if you did this, maybe my hands wouldn't be tied behind my back. To which I say, fuck you. This isn't the legal system. These aren't criminal charges.
You could have done what you wanted, right?
Right. You are a former judge who is looking at all of the evidence given in front of you, whether there is an appropriate amount of evidence or not. You can look and say, okay, 24 is too many. That's just too many. We haven't ever seen anything like this. And then you can make it. You can make a claim. I would have been fine with 10 or 12, but 6, especially with an appeal, 6 is too little. Sorry, Kyle, I cut you off twice.
That's all right. I was saying,
passionate.
What I find funny. Correct me if I'm wrong. Goodell can still come down and bring more games.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
How freaking convenient for the NFL that they now have a system where they can go, we didn't come up with that punishment. That, because again, look, they are literally going, this judge is literally going by how their conduct policy is going, because yes, they did threaten to sue, and that is their right to do so. If they are outstepping the agreement that they have in place, they do have a right to sue and everything. But how great is this for the NFL where they get to sit there and blame it on somebody else? We didn't give him 6 games. The process did. And now they get to sit around. Roger Goodell gets to sit around and have his little social media team sit there and watch the outrage unfold on Twitter and on TikTok and on YouTube and on Twitch. And now Goodell can sit there and go, well, I'm going to come in. I'm going to give him 5 more games. So I'm the good guy here, everybody. I'm bringing in more. Well, how convenient.
If you remember, that's very similar to how the Ezekiel Elliott situation played out, because they did have an independent arbitrator come in and review it just to see what they're suggesting. Not quite in the same way, not as extreme as it has been with Sue L. Robinson, but they came in and said, "What is your recommendation?" The guy recommended 0 games, and Ezekiel Elliott got 6. So Roger Goodell has the ability now. Look. Would I be okay with a 6 times modifier on Deshaun's 6-game suspension?
Yeah.
For sure. If that's the precedent, it's okay, we're just going to multiply whatever the suggestion is by 6. We give Deshaun 36 games. That's 2 seasons. Bye. Fuck you. I'd be fine with that. That's not going to happen. But
we also need to be really criticizing Roger Goodell a little bit more here, because he is the reason we are in this mess. Because again, the Ezekiel Elliott thing, hey, we recommend 0. He still came down and gave 6. He then gave 2 to Ray Rice, only to come back and go, okay, well, we now know more evidence. Let's give him more. I agree with having an arbiter. Honest to God, because I do not agree with Roger Goodell being judge, jury, and executioner.
Totally agree with that.
That's bullshit. I am absolutely fine with an arbiter coming in and going, here's what it is. This is the policies we have in place. Here's what happened. Here's how we can make this decision based off of all of these things. Roger Goodell should not be able to, even though in this situation we're hoping he drops more games, he should not be in a situation to do any of that.
Now, Amos, first of all, says she didn't make her judgment off the 24. It was based on 4. I didn't know that. I don't know that. If that's true, that's also fucked up.
Yes. So she went the full ass legal route and said it's only based off of the 4 allegations because he settled the other 20, which is
that is absolutely ridiculous.
Stupid.
Yeah. Yes. Here's the thing. This is going to be the interesting part to me, fellas. If we have another occurrence of the Ray Rice situation, remember now, Ray Rice was going to come back and play football. Everything was forgiven. We knew he hit her. We knew he drug her off the elevator, but those were just words, right?
Yeah.
We just got words and lip service and a 2-game suspension and an apology, and we can all move forward and enjoy our football and fuck the victims. It's the same thing here. Well, because you see it on Twitter, you see it on chat. Oh, well, there's the settle. Why settle if he's guilty? Why do that? You know what I mean? Like, there's all this lip service going on, but the first time we find, or somebody finds, a camera that was in a room that they didn't know it existed, and they see it, or they get a text message, or they get a picture, or someone else comes forward with concrete evidence that is visual to show his sexual deviancy, then what do you do as the NFL? Now,
nothing. They had fucking evidence on Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
They didn't do a damn thing. They ain't going to do anything. That ain't going to matter.
Can I read to you guys just a snippet of Sue L. Robinson's conclusion? I just pulled up the last page. So this is what she said, and this kind of goes in line with what you're saying, Barry. And this is where I feel like Sue L. Robinson is more of a, NFL, be better, or like she's not looking at the context of Deshaun. It's almost like she's angry the NFL didn't do enough due diligence and they weren't prepared for this situation. And she's saying, well, I can't do anything. Oopsie. Instead of looking at Deshaun's situation, what he did and the allegations against him, and then giving a suspension. It really feels like this is an attack on the NFL's process, which is totally fine. Attack their process. It's shit, but don't do it in light of giving leniency to a guy who did what he did. This is
real quick. Thank you, Jay Cross, for the 100 bits, and Iris, thank you for the follow. Sorry, you guys know.
No, you're good. This is yeah, I know, because you got it. Like, you're gonna split it 50-50, or actually, sorry, Kyle and I are splitting a 50-50. Right. My bad. But here's a part of the conclusion. The NFL may be a forward-facing organization, but it's not necessarily a forward-looking one. Just as the NFL responded to violent conduct after a public outcry, so it seems the NFL was responding to yet another public outcry about Mr. Watson's conduct. At least in the former situation, the policy was changed and applied proactively. Here, the NFL is attempting to impose a more dramatic shift in its culture without the benefit of fair notice to and consistency of consequence for those in the NFL subject to the policy. Her first bullet in this conclusion that she gives of like what her decision is Mr. Watson is hereby suspended for 6 regular season games without pay. Although this is the most significant punishment ever imposed on an NFL player for allegations of non-violent sexual conduct, Mr. Watson's pattern of conduct is more egregious than any ever before reviewed by the NFL. So like what that says to me is she's like, well, no, the NFL is trying to change course. They're trying to change precedent. They're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. Yeah, fucking duh. This is an unfucking precedented situation. Of course, each and every situation should be looked at independently if you don't have explicit guidelines. What I would love to see from the NFL moving forward is if you have one civil allegation of sexual misconduct against you, 3 games minimum. 3 games minimum. Like, I don't care. We don't care if you're innocent or guilty. It's a conduct policy. You shouldn't put yourself in this. No, this isn't illegal. Stop. Hold on. This isn't a legal thing. This is a business that you work for. You have to follow the rules of the business. And if they say you're putting yourself in a position for these things to happen, I don't care. 3 games. Like it should be that. I would rather that and have that deterrent in place than what is happening right now. Because if it is 6 games, then players can just be like, oh, 6 games, that's not a big deal. It's a half a season off. It's a longer vacation.
So hold on. I agree that the system we have right now does not work and it sucks. However, suspending somebody 3 games automatically for 1 allegation. Allegations are different than proof and everything. Look, I've said time and time again with Deshaun, there's 24 women did not get together randomly to decide to say the exact same thing, all that other shit. Okay. Right. But the flaw with an allegation, I could easily, if I want to sit there and
and I know that. Yeah.
How many girlfriends or fiancés or jilted lovers or whatever could sit there and say that and then get a DeAndre Hopkins suspended? What happens when Joe Burrow is in the Super Bowl and somebody randomly who roots for the opposite team decides to make an allegation? That's 3 games.
They can do it now. They can do that now.
Yeah, they can do that now, but it's going to run its course a different way instead of mandatory.
That's fair.
But
okay,
what about here's the part that I think, and you kind of led me to this thought, and I really never thought about this too, Pete, until you brought it up. But You're talking about 24. Now, yeah, they're all using the same lawyer, right? They're all grouping themselves together in this. But you're talking about 24 different allegations of sexual misconduct. Think about that for a second. If one woman comes forward and accuses one player of sexual misconduct, it has to go through this same process, or it should, or it might, right? And they could end up getting up to 6 games by that one person. I think if you want to really scare the shit out of these guys and make them act right, every allegation is its own hearing, and you can get up to 6 games per allegation. Now, you can't play until they're settled. He would be sitting out 24 different hearings. He'd be out for 2, 3, 4 years with this bullshit. And that is a way to do it without instantly doing it. Does that make sense?
That's more in line with what I was saying. It's 3 games for each allegation, but like I said automatic. I don't mean like instantly, bam, it's done. Like through this same process, through this same thing. Okay. Like so essentially what I'm saying, and what I've been saying all along, was if Deshaun Watson has 24 allegations against him, right? Mm-hmm. If Ben Roethlisberger had 2 and he got a 6-game suspension, that means it should be about 3 games per allegation that he has. So if that's the precedent that was set with Ben Roethlisberger, then Deshaun should have 3-game suspension for each and every one of the allegations against him. Yes, of course, there needs to be a process. Yes, of course, they need to go through and review evidence. I agree with that. But each allegation should be individually processed as a suspension.
And to your point, and Kyle, too, you and I were saying no, but if some crazy fan wants to have Joe Burrow sit out, they can come forward, but then they still have to go before the NFL and present their case, and if they have any kind of information, because these ladies had text messages, they had, what I mean? So that's the difference between a crazy fan just not wanting Joe Burrow to be in the Super Bowl and a woman who has actually been sexually assaulted. She's got I was in the room with him. I've got the receipt because he paid me for the fucking massage. So that's the difference, right? That's the gate, right? The safety net, so to speak.
Right. And I don't want it to be like he said, she said, oh, he did this, bam, you're done. I want it to go through a process. But if you have that, like clearly Deshaun Watson got through the process. How often do we deal with sexual misconduct and sexual assault allegations on a year-to-year basis in the NFL? Like if it gets to the level that it has with Deshaun and with Ben and with Zeke, if it gets to that level, that's where I'm saying, okay, it's gotten far enough to where there's enough evidence that, something probably happened, something went down. Okay, we're going to process each of these with an individual suspension for each allegation. That's more of what I'm saying, instead of being like, if some chick says, oh, he did this, and then it's like, oh, you're suspended.
Can't play
now.
this week. Sorry, yeah.
Right, exactly. There has to be a process, right? But if it gets to this point, they should be each individually processed.
You know what I find funny is in Houston, Bud Adams, I think we would all agree, is probably the most hated man in Houston sports history. Deshaun Watson has to be the clear-cut favorite here. Not only did he bitch his way out of our city, he also stiffed his landlord on rent for his shitty Philly cheesesteak restaurant left.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
And then, just sexually harassed 24 of our women as he went out the door. This dude is the absolute biggest scumbag in the history of Houston sports.
Wow. Yeah, 100%.
Changed my mind.
I wasn't
Changed
here.
my mind.
I didn't grow up here, and I wasn't here for the Bud Adams days, and I understand the hatred towards him, and I won't begrudge anybody who says that he's number one in their book. For me, the biggest villain in Houston sports will forever and always be Deshaun Watson, for me personally, because it's just like, especially that's the argument I can't stand either. These fucking blank profiles, Twitter profiles with numbers that are clearly being run by Deshaun Watson and David Mulugeta are just all over the place on Twitter. And they're like, well, Deshaun already served a 1-year suspension. No, he didn't.
No,
fucking
no.
shit.
No,
you shit. I just want to, I want to be like, you fucking piece of shit. He requested a trade. And then said, I'm not playing for you anymore. And then they agreed together that he would sit out and he got paid the whole time.
Yeah,
that's not
a suspension.
Fucking suspension. That's being a bitch.
No. You know what? The fact that we are sitting here and trying to negotiate some sort of justice and justification for this is just sad, right? I mean, you think about in most other instances in society, nobody's getting nobody. I mean, I don't want to say he got away with it.
He did.
He kind of did though, right?
Did.
Like, I mean,
he did.
Look, people get away with shit all the time. Like, have you ever heard of, like, you ever seen punishable by fine? That just means you can break the law as long as you have the money. Deshaun Watson can break the law because he's got money. Now, look, again, did he do anything criminally? According to the courts, no, he didn't. But if I had a daughter that was an adult and she brought Deshaun Watson home, I'd be like, "What the fuck are you thinking?"
Yeah.
Why would you? Yeah. Why? What is going on here? Besides, fuck his bank account. Why?
If there were different versions of getting away with it, and some people kind of get away with it more, and some people get away with it less. And if I had to like relate different versions of getting away with it to TV shows and their best seasons or the seasons that they had, this is fucking season 1 of The Wire getting away with it. Like, this is fucking he got paid for an entire season where he didn't have to play football. He successfully traded himself out of a city to a team that he got to choose that was willing to renegotiate a contract so he would lose as limited amount of money as possible to get one of the most unprecedented contracts we've ever seen in the NFL with fully guaranteed money like we've never seen. And he got all of that. And now he's only going to get 6 games. Like, this is the best.
Let me ask you this. And I told you guys we'd only go till 4:30, but so I don't want to keep.
I will go until 11.
And Flip, I saw your question. I'm going to present it. I don't like it, but I'm going to present it to the panel, and we'll discuss that as well. But let me ask you this. Do you think that, so the NFL may not come in and change because it was arbitration, right? They may not come in and say, you know what, we're going to give you 10 games or 12 games or whatever.
Right.
But would it make you feel at all better if they came in and said, okay, fine, 6 games it is. However, we are going to fine you an unprecedented. Now, I don't even know if they can. They probably can't. But if it, you know, it would end up in court, but I think they should say, you know what, because this was special circumstance, we're going to go, and because we know that the Browns intentionally renegotiated his deal so that he loses as much money as possible, at my discretion, I'm fining you $30 million. $100
billion.
Yeah, I think that's a better, and then donate that $30 million to a charity or an organization that helps, whether it be sex trafficking or sexual assault victims or whatever it is, donate that money penny for penny to it. But I think there's got to be something done besides $6 million and 6 games and $375K. He got off easy if that's the case.
Yeah. He
all these settlements, he still got off easy.
He got up, like, he got caught. That's the crazy. Like, normally people get away with it, right? Like, you do something bad, you can get away with it. He got caught, and he got away with it, and got. Now, he didn't just get away with it; he got rewarded during the process of getting away with it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me so sick. And I saw somebody on Twitter earlier put up the question, like, why do we, I think he's coming from a place of like, he doesn't like what happened. Clearly, like, he wanted Deshaun Watson to get punished, but like, why do we even care at this point? Is it just because, is the punishment for us? No. And my question is, no, the punishment is not for us, the fans. The punishment isn't for Deshaun. It's not for the NFL. It's not for the Texans. It's not. The punishment is a deterrent for the future. That's what punishments are.
I mean,
right.
It's for the
100% for the women. 100%.
And you're right.
For the women.
It's a deterrent as well.
I honestly don't want anything else to come out, like any other punishment, because you know what? I'm sick and tired. Like, the NFL is in a bad spot as well, because right now, doesn't matter what they do, it will not be enough in the eyes of the mob. They've already seen the 6 games. They come out tomorrow and go, you know what? We're going to drop 2 years on this bozo. And you know what fans are going to do? They're going to take to Twitter and go, well, why didn't you do that in the first place?
Yeah.
And they're going to start the outrage all over again. There's no amount of money that you can find that guy that the mob is going to be okay with. It just isn't, because it's already happened. You've already done the 6 games. You have made your bed, and you have to lie in it. But at this point, I want you to go fucking change it.
Yeah.
Make it better.
I think
that's what's happens with, like, that's what happens with cybersecurity, right? Like once you think your cybersecurity is fine, somebody breaks in, what do? Do you just go, let me lock that back up? No, you fix it and you make it harder. You make it better. That's what happens.
I think if the NFL and really the crazy thing to me is that you know who's getting, besides Deshaun Watson, you know who's not catching as much heat as they deserve? The NFL Players Association. They're willing to fight to the death for this dude, and shame on them. And I've said as much on the show earlier, fuck them. Fuck you guys. You guys are pieces of shit for defending this asshole. You need to stand up and hold your own fucking players accountable. And if they wanted to be better, and if they wanted to do better, they would sit down with the NFL at the end of this season and say, let's fix this so that guys like that don't get away with it anymore. None of this fixing contracts and all that bullshit. Like that's who also needs to step up and do something, in my opinion.
I've said this all along. I understand the NFLPA needing to defend a player. They can't set the example, no matter who it is and no matter what they've done for the most part, that they can't defend a player. They're probably not helping Henry Ruggs very much right now, but that's another story. They're picking and choosing who they help. But I understand them at least being able to put up a show. You know, if they had to say, shit, we don't want to defend this guy, like, fuck him, this is bullshit, like, all right, we're going to help him, but yeah, we're totally on board with, but no, they didn't do that. They didn't say that, they didn't begrudgingly help them. They jumped in, they were like, fuck you NFL, fuck you Roger Goodell, we're doing whatever we can to fight this. Well, dude, this wasn't a DUI. Like this wasn't smoking weed. This wasn't betting on games, which by the way, gambling and smoking weed, you get suspended anywhere from like 17 games to 14 years, depending on which one you're doing. Obviously, like here, let's look at the tier list of things you can do. You can sexually assault women, 6 games. You can gamble on games full year, no matter how much you gamble, or you can smoke weed and you might just be blackballed from the league, which is hilarious because, like,
and God forbid you kneel peacefully.
Oh dear God. You never get to play again. Have y'all seen the list? Like there's a list going around of like all the different things that like people have been suspended for in the NFL.
Oh, I pulled up the whole thing on Wiki. Yeah, they had a whole fucking Wiki article.
It's crazy. It's crazy to see all of the different things people have been suspended for, and then juxtapose that with the sexual conduct allegations.
24, by the way.
Yeah,
like you said, some of them with Big Ben and this, that. It was 1 or 2 women. I mean, you're talking about 24, and you look at everything that's surrounding it. It's insane. Go ahead, Kyle.
I've been sitting here listening, but I've also been looking at the chat. Can we please get the Flip's comment? I'd very much like to get to that.
And you know what? You can go first, Kyle. And let me find it. I'm going to put it on the screen. Where did it go? Oh, God damn it. Did I lose it? Here we go. Flip asked in the chat, why have y'all not mentioned what if some of these women said okay to the extra rub and tug? Kyle?
Okay, Flip. Sure. Hey, look, I'll sit there and meet with you. Could 1 or 2, maybe even 3 be hopping on the bandwagon to get a payday? Sure. We've seen it in the past. I could believe that. Do I believe 24 of them are corroborating the same shit and all got together to make up this big lie and to continue the lie? Rusty Harden ain't no bitch when it comes to this law. When it comes to this law game, sir. All right. If he was innocent, he was gonna make sure he was innocent. He wouldn't be settling shit. Now, again, I can't admit. Yes, maybe 1 or 2 are getting in there trying to get a payday. I can totally see that, but I sincerely doubt that the majority of these women are lying. Also, do you know how hard it is to prove shit in court, Flip? Tell me you have never been a victim. And he also said at the very end, one of the last things in here where he goes, sexual harassment doesn't go from 0 to 100. Yes, it fucking does, dude. Have you not listened to anybody who has literally been like,
not listen to my mother earlier in the show telling the story about being sexually harassed at work when her boss just basically said, oh, wait, there's one more thing, and then tried to kiss her? That's fucking 0 to 100.
100, yes,
She's standing in a club with 2 drinks, making her way to her boyfriend, and a guy walks by and grabs her vagina, just gets a handful of monkey like nothing's... Yeah, it's fucking 0 to 100, Flip. It really is.
Do you know how many actresses or personalities have been pulled into a director or a producer in an executive's office to be like, you're doing a really great job. Here, have this whiskey, and now look at my dick.
Yeah. How do you think I got the job on the Fantasy Four with Kyle? Like that's it.
Exactly.
I walked into Kyle's office. I brought him. He brought me a drink. I would say the only time it's not 0 to 100 is when it's 0 to O-ring. Like Deshaun Watson just grab the finger, stick it up the beehole. That's fine, right? That's probably more like 0 to 50, 0 to 60. Is that right?
Jesus. Sorry, Kyle. Hold on. Sorry. Hey, Flip. He goes, the first thing I assume a woman that has been sexually assaulted is leave the room where they are. Do you realize Matt Lauer had a fucking button to lock the doors?
Flip, I just need you to go back to about 3:15, 3:20 when my mom joined the show and listen to her tell the story about being sexually assaulted and harassed at her job back in the 70s and 80s. And it still happens today, buddy. It don't change, okay? The guys are still assholes and creepy. And Flip, I don't know why you are so vehemently, like, I don't know what's happened or not happened in your life that you find it inexplicable that women could actually have this happen to them. But dude, I don't know.
I for one would like to applaud. Like, I actually think I might have to file a lawsuit on Flip because I can't believe he's actually able to show his ass on chat. Like, that is just amazing to me.
Look, you want to know why, Flip? They don't go out and immediately go to the police and they immediately say things because there's a large majority of people like you who come out and say, well, what did you do? You brought it up earlier with your mom, Barry. Like, what did you do? What did you say? What was this? What were you wearing? Like, did that really happen? Was it consensual? Look, I'll be even more generous. Let's say 50% of the women, it was consensual. All right. Let's say 50%. Like, look, Flip, I'm into some kiki shit too. Like, there's no kink shame in here. And women, that's the thing. Women ask for those things to happen. Women, let's say 50% of those women, let's say they asked for a little Deshaun beehole action, right? They said, hey, go into happy baby pose. Show us that starfish. All right. 50% of them is 12. What is 12 women for you?
12 lives. 12 lives.
What's 6 women? What is 2 women? What's 1 woman? One women. Interesting. What's one woman? Way to put it. Like, let's say even 50%, 70%, 80% of those women, it was consensual in some way. But at what point do you stop? When they say no. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but like I've been married for 17 years. Coming up on August 5th, I will have been married for 17 years.
She's a trooper, man.
And Jesus. I know, dude. I know. She's probably gonna leave me soon. It's fine. I don't even like. I look at me. No way she stays with me. But
stay with this guy. He can't play softball for shit.
Yeah, he's falling apart.
No man of mine not gonna be able to hit a home run.
We've been married for well. The problem is there's like 3 guys who can hit a home run anytime they want to on the team. So I'm like, she comes and watches the games. I'm like, fuck, I can't let her come anymore because like she's probably getting wet watching.
Not that you were before.
Yeah.
Damn, let's go.
So like I've been married to my wife for 17 years, and never in those 17 years have I ever pushed farther when she said no. Stop. It from the first night we met in College Station. We were making out. We started to like fool around and do some other stuff, and she said no, and I stopped. That is as far as it should ever go, and nothing else is ever acceptable, and that's 0 to 100. Yep. Anytime any person, any woman or any man says stop, and somebody takes it any farther after that, that's 0 to 100. And let's say it was just 2 women, 3 women, 4 women, 6 women.
It's enough.
Out of all of these allegations. That's more than enough for us to say, yeah, exactly. You fucked up. So I'm sorry if there are explicit details. And if you don't want to read the reports, you don't want to look at all the different things and what they've said, they've been consistent across the board. And most women have said, he grabbed his ankles into happy baby pose. He grabbed my hand and he put it on my taint. That's too far. Well, if a woman says no and tries to walk away from you, grabbing her by the wrist is too far. You don't own her. You don't deserve to touch a woman like that. So grabbing her by the wrist and putting palm to taint, it's not okay, dude. Like that's none of that is okay.
Nope. Well said, fellas. I appreciate you guys doing this. I thought, you know what, it's kind of an unprecedented thing, and hell, why not? We've been talking about doing something like this, and the
unprecedented 6-game suspension for Barry. He's suspended for 6 shows.
What?